clear to everybody exactly why she was brought in. But it was interesting that Kate Mulgrew was very much against her, and she
Right.
she apologized later on, I guess, and they became friends. But about the fact that Jerry Ryan was acting her ass off, under the worst
True.
circumstances,
Right. Right.
and also that she had, uh, Kate Mulgrew basically recognized that she was taking her anger out on the wrong person.
Right.
It was the
Exactly. Yeah.
producers
Don't
and
don't
stuff like
kill the
that at the time.
messenger.
So yeah,
And yes, and there I have read stories about how a lot of people felt um, cheapened by the whole, that
yeah.
they're,
Well, Kate,
that
because with
we're
Kate
just doing
Mulgrew,
this stunt basically
yeah,
of bringing on this very attractive cast member to bring up the ratings. But at the same time, yes, there was a huge bump in ratings, and it saved the show
yeah.
because without that, they would have canceled it like in the next season.
And so,
So,
but yeah, so the reason Kate was really pissed for the most part was because she said she had spent so much time trying to prove to everybody, because they also had this giant argument on her first day on set. Kate
mhm,
Mulgrew, I didn't know this, but Kate Mulgrew was the second character to play Janeway. They'd hired
yes.
another actress to do it, and evidently she had done a horrible job, and just
Mhm,
didn't, she couldn't get into the character. She didn't understand it. She was underacting essentially for television.
right. Yeah.
More, the stuff she did was doing more subtle and nuanced, and
Mhm.
so they were having a lot of troubles getting her performance to translate right on screen. For she was a movie actress basically. I wish I could remember her name,
Yeah.
but anyway, so somebody else had done it, and so when they brought in Kate Mulgrew, they essentially the producers all showed up on the first day of filming with Kate Mulgrew specifically to watch her fail, because they were there
Mhm.
to try and push for a male captain. And
Right.
so that was why she got so pissed about the Seven of Nine thing, was because
Mhm.
she'd worked so hard to make them actually accept a female in a major lead, part in this show, as the lead in the show. And
Exactly.
yeah, and essentially to just have them,
It was a tough sell. Yeah,
backpedal a
it
little bit
really
later.
was. And I knew that Kate Mulgrew wasn't the first person to try out for. I did not know that they actually had cast somebody else before.
Yeah,
But I was just
they'd already
I
filmed
was
the first
I
episode.
remember I remember Kate Mulgrew because she briefly appears in one of my cult favorite movies, The Adventures of Remo Williams. She's in there. She's like a supporting cast
I
member.
haven't
She's
seen
in
that in
there for like
forever.
a heartbeat or whatever. But I remember her there. And then so like when she becomes Captain Voyager, I went back and looked, and she was also like Mrs. Columbo. So she actually had some, I know, quite a bit of like TV experience. But again, nothing really major, nothing that I remembered. So I was, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I was excited to see her.
Also in that documentary, kind of the things I thought was funny is guess who actually almost got the part of Seven? Claudia Christensen.
Oh,
Like I'm sitting there trying to
okay,
imagine her.
Claudia
It's all like
Christensen.
I can definitely see her in the
Yeah,
role,
I
just
could see
because
her doing that. I could see her doing that.
because she did the Hidden and stuff like that. So I was like,
Right.
you know, as a little teenage nerd, I would have been like, yeah, because
Yeah, but see,
I
like
liked her
Claudia
in
Christensen was
Babylon
like to me,
Five.
like I was, it's like, oh yeah, no, Babylon 5, it's like, oh, whereas like Jerry Ryan didn't know, her from, a hole in the ground,
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, sure, it's like when I first saw her, also, like, oh, I see what we're doing with this, it was very obvious
yeah, there was.
that it's like, okay, we're gonna put a babe in this. It's like, oh, all right. It's like I thought, it's like, really, we've run out of ideas, that this is what we've been reduced to. And because like I felt bad for the rest of the cast. It's like that we have to play off of this thing.
Yeah,
And so I mean, I was right there. I can totally see it. But then, like, yes, like, and I'm hating Seven of Nine just because she's this attractive character that they added to this cast. And again, you're absolutely right. That's wrong. It's not. It's like, if Jerry Ryan didn't take the part, somebody else less capable would have.
yeah,
Right. So I'm
and they may
glad.
have embraced the
In
sex symbol
retrospect, I am
aspect
glad
of
that
it.
she stuck it out, and that it went from being like I said, a very shallow character to actually one that was developed well along the way.
And I think that's actually attributed to Jerry Ryan's acting because and how serious she took it because like you were saying if she had to take it somebody else would have, and you probably would have ended up with somebody who wasn't concerned about pushing the character in a serious direction. It's like, okay,
Right.
I see what you're doing. Everybody's aware of it. I'll play along, but I'll
Right.
keep nudging things in this direction, and I'll play the character in a
Exactly.
way that it sort of pigeonholes the writers, into not creating her. You can't do a weak kind of story with this character. You've got to do something
Right.
where she's either learning what it's like to be human or slaughtering everybody. Because that's what she knew.
Well, and then also it's like once you become that character that's like really, now you're part of the main cast, then you can get to that point where you can push for better stories because like, well, my contract's up at the end of the season. If I don't like the storylines anymore, I'm out of here.
Yep.
And it's like, no, we need you. It's like, yeah, you do. So better stories, guys. Get on the stick.
Yeah, some of those.
Ruuchi was going. It's like yeah. They need. It's like we need a supermodel to get more views. That's why they did it with Hugh the Borg.
Pretty much.
And Madonna's going. Look at the other characters on that ship and the premise of the series itself. It's a terribly boring premise, and cast to execute it. Bringing on a hot Borg was about the best thing you could. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. They needed to do something. It's like how what is it? Star Trek. Everything old is new, right? Okay, so television's been around for a while, but we do kind of like go back to the same tropes, and so Star Trek itself was very much. Some people said it's like wagon train in space because in the old Western wagon train, it's about this wagon train that just keeps on traveling and it gets attacked by Indians and then gets to the next village and the next village doesn't want them there or whatever. But then the wagon train keeps on going. Some people pointed out it's like, where's this wagon train going? What's its final destination? It just keeps moving. So there's wagon train. And then Deep Space Nine comes up and they said, oh yeah, that's like Bonanza or Gunsmoke. It's now it's about the town. It's about the village, the people who come into it. And the best is when the wagon train actually gets to Gunsmoke or the Ponderosa. That's the great crossover. But it's those stories. It's his Oregon Trail TNG. It really much is. I mean, look how many times these people get dysentery and almost die. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mandal is right there with me. Thank you, Mandal. Space dysentery. He was supposed to saying, I ended up watching Star Trek because of whatever was on there before it. Too lazy to change the channel and doing homework. Exactly, Sapporo. Some of us like, no, I can't be bothered. I can't even be bothered to find the remote control because I lost it. It's around here somewhere. I'm just going to let it roll. Wildstar was CCG was saying, I could never get past the pilot episode of Voyager, and I've watched TNG and DS9 multiple times through. Yeah, no,
it gets a lot better.
Yeah, it does get a lot better, especially like after they have like this big war kind of a thing, honestly, and they're what was that episode? It was like a two-parter too.
I don't know.
How they had to get through this one particular part in space, and they're like working at like warp 9, and they have to like maintain it for like months. Yeah. And so like the ship is falling apart, and they're being attacked, and they just have to kind of repair stuff on the fly. And like it's bad, and it's like, oh, this looks crazy. There were some really good episodes in there.
I did like how the ship was, by the time it came out of the Delta Quadrant, it was like in pieces. Like there were chunks missing out of it.
And it's also like 30% Borg technology, and like they totally like cannibalized all this other stuff just to keep the ship going and everything. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty neat. Wellstorm, I was going to ask you, what were your feelings about Enterprise? I was just kind of curious, because that was the one that was like, I love Scott Bakula, I love some of these storylines, but the actual theme with the lyrics on it really pissed me off.
I will admit, I skipped past that part.
Yeah.
I like when it was airing, if I caught it live, I would just groan, but I hated that intro music.
Yeah.
But I actually enjoyed the show.
Yeah. Ruichu says, "Yeah, Year of Hell." Yes, that is exactly what
Year of Hell, that was it.
That's a really those are really good episodes. I highly recommend those. Ruichu was also I didn't like Voyager till like season 3. Yeah, Voyager. It took a while to find its feet, definitely. And again, that's also kind of like when they got rid of Kes, and then like a little bit later, there's like a couple of episodes, and then they introduced Seven of Nine. So I think that they were still kind of like feeling it out. Even Star Trek Next Generation was a big experiment. It had been off the air for almost like 20 years, right?
Yeah, that show didn't actually get started till its 3rd season, halfway through its 2nd season.
Yeah, exactly. They updated the costumes. They kind of like, you know, uh, they had enough of a fan following, and they had found their trinity of characters. They didn't know who it was going to be at first, but it definitely came down to uh, uh, Captain Picard #1, and the android Data and everything were kind of a nice backbone for the show. But the other characters were also underneath, were good. Tasha Yar, she got off, it's like, yeah, no, this isn't for me. But she's always been a really good sport about it too.
Well, the funny thing is she freely admits that she made a mistake, because it was at the time she was watching, because it really does come down to Gene Roddenberry. Gene Roddenberry had this very specific vision. Nobody was supposed to have any kind of internal conflict. Like everybody on the ship are all best friends. So there's never.
Sure.
It's like, I hate to break the news to you, but Aaron and I have been best friends, like great friends for years. And we butt heads and have disagreements. My wife and I. My wife is my absolute best friend, and we butt heads occasionally. It just happens. So this concept that you can never have any disagreements was hard for the writers to deal with, and so and that was just something where, when he had the veto power in those first 2 seasons before he got really sick. The sad thing is a lot of Star Trek fans will point to Gene Roddenberry dying as the best thing that happened to Star Trek. And that's been, I've seen that in a lot of blogs and whatnot from really hardcore fans, because that finally let the Next Generation team start pushing things and going further. And then, of course, they were able to create Deep Space Nine, which under Roddenberry never would have got created. And a lot of people say Deep Space Nine is probably the best writing in all of Star Trek. Maybe not the most beloved characters, but definitely the best writing. And the Next Generation became iconic, after they were able to finally start doing, better stories and better characters and growing, kind of growing the stories and the personal character arcs and stuff, which was something they never really got to do under Gene. And of course, there's always the argument nowadays people have about the episodes versus, kind of the saga continuing stories versus episodic.
Well, and then Rurutu was mentioning about Utopia, and then I kind of wandered into Wesley Crusher. Here is the Next Generation, and it came like pre-formatted Jumping the Shark. It has this kid character in it. And was it John Wayne? I don't know if it was John Wayne or if it's just a movie, Hollywood quote. It's like, yeah, never work with kids and animals. And, and here we have, young Will Wheaton, who is actually a fantastic actor. Go watch him in Star Trek and grown. Go watch him in Stand By Me and cheer, because he's a very capable actor.
Oh yeah.
And and Will Wheaton has, as an adult, he will tell you it fucked him up working on Star Trek. He was kind of an introverted kid, but he wanted to work in Hollywood, just enamored with the whole idea. He knew something about Star Trek, and it just totally messed with him and his parents. But it's like that. Go watch Will Wheaton. He will explain it to you. But yeah, even his character developed. They realized also it's like, hey, maybe we don't need this, and he eventually grows out of it. And which is great, because also he like any kid, he grew like 1.5 foot. The kid got tall in between seasons. And also he with very few episodes, he's just sitting there, pushing buttons. He's no longer the the young man like making snarky comments anymore and everything. Now he is a fully functioning ensign and everything. And again, he's at the beginning of his career, so I think he wanted to do other things. But yeah, I mean, those are all things that have to happen and develop. I think.
I don't remember why Will Wheaton got off the show. I don't remember like what was the reason. Did they write him off because the lack of popularity of the character, or did he want to do other stuff?
It was a combination of all those things. I think that he was looking for other thing. There was definitely a lot of pushback from the fans then, which is interesting because the fans now have like apologized and they love him,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people who grew up realized that they were overly harsh on him and everything and his character.
Well, the worst thing was is it goes back to Gene. So Gene, when he created the Next Generation, so if you look at the characters, Picard was supposed to be old Gene Roddenberry.
Yes.
Riker was supposed to be, young
swashbuckling,
Gene,
swashbuckling,
Gene young adventure-seeking Gene, very womanizing Gene Roddenberry.
Yes.
And then Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher, was supposed to be child Eugene Roddenberry. So every one of those characters, like that's why their stories were so kind of weird and whatnot. And they just, so he tried to depict Will Wheaton having this, or Wesley Crusher having this like very protective childhood or whatnot. And then again, it's same thing kind of with Tasha Yar is got off the boat early because they saw bad things, but then when the writing staff changed up, suddenly good things started happening.
Yeah, exactly. But see, like with Tasha Yar leaving, Denise Crosby leaving, that gave Michael Dorn and the Worf character a lot more
a chance to shine,
room to grow. And we all know that Michael Dorn has appeared in more Star Trek episodes and TV shows than any other actor. He's really embraced that. I mean, he was on Star Trek Next Generation. He's he's appeared in the movies. He went over to DS9. He's done voiceover work in the video games. And I would have to say, out of like all of the cast members for Next Generation, if you've seen Michael Dorn, he is still a good-looking man.
Yep.
He's just very, very handsome older gentleman. And let's not forget, Michael Dorn got his start on Chips.
How old was he?
Was
he like a little kid?
In his 20s, but he was like the black officer. He's the only one. So, but it's Michael Dorn token. With a mustache.
He's token.
That's Michael Dorn. Yep, on Chips. And he just like towers above Eric Estrada.
Everybody towers above Eric Estrada.
Yeah, no, it's like a.
I wish that's a relationship that worked better. Ponch and John. I wish them in their personal lives. I wish they were better friends.
Yeah.
Because that they had the chance for like so many really cool kind of, stories and things like that. But just the fact that those two didn't really get along all that much, I think kind of sabotaged that show more than anything else.
Yeah. He went to Michael Dorn, born in Texas, but he grew up in Pasadena and graduated from Pasadena City College.
Nice.
Yeah.
What year was he born?
He was born 1952. He's 69 years old.
Good God, he looks good for 69.
He really does. I think he's also, there's somewhere in here, I'm just looking at his bio.
I think he's also an android.
No, I thought there was something about, yeah, he's vegan now. He had, was diagnosed with early stage prostate cancer. He's fine now, but it's always something you got to check on. But ever since then, he switched over to a vegan diet. Also, in here, just more thing, is actually he is a legit pilot. It says here he has flown with the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds.
Nice.
Obviously, that the Thunderbirds represented, and owns and has owned several jet aircraft.
He got the Harrier Pepsi was given away.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, no, Michael Dorn, fantastic.
And he can land his planes.
Yeah, and he can. Yeah, no, that's the important part.
Harrison. Harrison. Excuse me.
Nuclear vessels.
No. I was thinking like Harrison Ford, how he keeps saying he can land his planes on freeways
Yeah.
and golf,
Yes.
golf
Yeah.
courses.
Well, no, but also hasn't Harrison Ford been, like responsible for like several like search and rescues?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so and so, blah blah blah. Hey, yeah, see if Harrison Ford's at home and see if we can use if he can fly out here because this kid's, this person's in bad shape.
Lost my reference. Damn it! Text messages coming in. But
Good.
but yeah, it's because he lives out in the boonies. Harrison does.
Yeah. I want to say Montana, but I'm not quite sure.
I don't know. I don't remember exactly when. I think Montana is right.
Yeah.
I also know he built his house. Like he not he designed his house. He went outside with a bunch of 2x4s and built his own house.
Yeah. Well, that was like
I wish I
that
had
was
that
something
kind of
that I do
time.
remember from his early bio. That one of his things that he was doing while in early in Hollywood is that he was a carpenter. He was like he was the guy helping build sets and stuff because he knows
Yep.
how.
Yep. I heard
Always good to know
rumors
how.
that at one point he was actually building sets on Star Wars, like helping out. Like he wasn't like a main
That would be
prop
cool.
builder or anything like that, but he would
that'd be
literally
great.
just go over
It's
and
like,
fix
hey,
things.
you need a hand? I know how to swing a hammer. It's like, sure, Captain Solo. It says here from Wikipedia, outside acting, Ford is a licensed pilot who has assisted the emergency services in rescue missions near his home in Wyoming.
Wyoming, okay.
He is also a dedicated environmentalist activist, having served as the inaugural vice chair of Conservation International since 1991.
Nice.
So Wyoming.
See, I like actors who actually are, well, he tends to be very introverted, so he stays away from everybody
Right.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
Kevin P. West checks in with the eyeballs.
that
I love those. Those are great.
that is a little creepy. I like
Thank
it.
you for joining us, Kevin.
By the way, see that little crow image there? I'm going in August. I'm going to be signing with. I'm going to be in Stockton, California, signing with James O'Barr again. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
that'd be cool because I haven't seen him since I saw him last just before the pandemic. So it'd be great to hang out with him again.
Is that the same time that you're going to be hanging with a certain Hellboy? Is that
Yeah.
the same event?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So that event is stacked this year. Holy crap! I think they actually decided to pass on like as many wrestlers because usually they would get like all these big name wrestlers and whatnot. Now they're actually now it looks like they're actually going more towards like getting more comic celebrities in there. Let me call it up here and see what I can find. So yeah, James O'Barr is going to be there. A lot of voice actors this time. So Damian Clark. Let's see, what have he done? Credits include Graceland, How to Get Away with Murder, 24, Castle, Supernatural, Prison Break, How to Be a Serial Killer, I Love You, Philip Morris. There's a bunch of stuff here. Evidently, he worked with Keanu Reeves on a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to read all that. Oh yeah, some dickhead named Lee Cozy. Dan Brereton's going to be there, so I got to remember to bring my Dan Brereton books
all right.
with me. Art Adams.
Oh, really? Art Adams.
Holy
Wow.
crap! Art Adams is going to be there.
Definitely.
Eric
Definitely
Vale.
have to meet him.
Yeah, oh yeah, no kidding. Eric Vale, Amy Chu from Rick and Morty. Rico Fajardo, or Fajardo. I'm not sure. Faja. I know it's not Fajardo. That'd be stupid. I think it's Fajardo. So I think Rico Fajardo. So, but I think he actually was in. Yeah. So he's My Hero. Murio in My Hero Academia. So God, he's in. This guy's
Lee, you know that one. There's that one artist. Was it Jamie Jimenez?
Oh,
It's
God.
like, I think you need to pick a side.
Tim Bradstreet.
Ways, Jamie.
Tim Bradstreet's gonna be there.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Let's see. Chris, Audrey Walker. A wrestler named Mickey
for
James.
Stockton?
Her, I don't know. Yeah, this is Stockton Con. John Hedder's gonna
Stockton?
be there.
Oh, no way.
Napoleon Dynamite himself will be there.
That's awesome.
An artist you know, Drew Johnson, I think. I think you know
Yep.
Drew, right?
I've met him. I've never had an opportunity to work with him, but I know who he is. Yes.
Ramon Villalobos, artist, will also be there. I mean, there's like some great.
This is a great lineup, honestly. And just to anybody who has an opportunity, this is why it's good to go to these smaller conventions. Like Comic-Con is great. Don't get me wrong. I will go there till they yank my pass out of my my cold dead hand, or my warm live one. I'm really not not going to die over it. But it's like but it is so big that like I very other than Lee's panel and a scant few others, I don't even go into like the big shows anymore, the big panels, because one, I don't wanna. Two, like a lot of them is like you find out the information later from the comfort of your own home in the air conditioning while wearing your favorite bathroom. It's
Sometimes the stuff is being like the trailer they're sitting there teasing you with gets uploaded the second it finishes playing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So, and not by the people watching it, by the company that's hosting it.
It's a lot of fun being in that room. I get it. I've done it. I've been there. It was magical. I can say that I have actually taken a selfie with Kevin Bacon in that he turned around and took a selfie of the crowd in Hall H of all of us. So I am actually 1 degree off from Kevin Bacon. Thank you very much. But yeah, like tensions run high. We had one Hufflepuff stab another Hufflepuff or whatever during that Harry Potter incident, and and also like by me being there takes up space from somebody else who hasn't had that opportunity. So I am quite comfortable not having to go to those
I crack up though when you talk about like violence at the Comic-Con. I just remember that one year they had the fight broke out where the one dude got stabbed in the eye with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Because that's the instrument of choice. That's your weapon of choice when you're at Comic-Con. But it was during a panel for Resident Evil 3D. So the irony that somebody got their eye poked out at a panel a panel about a 3D movie just always made me like giggle, but also go, really, guys? Like one guy, literally the fight broke out over who got to sit closest to Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
That was the literal actual like instigation of that fight. Was somebody got up to go to the bathroom, came back, somebody else had moved their shit and taken the seat. And they got into a tussle over it.
Yeah, exactly. So again, tensions are running high. You're not dealing with you're dealing with fans. And what does what is fans short of? It's short for fanatic. Probably some really hardcore people here. And some of these panels are very chill. They're great. They're wonderful to hang out in. You get some really good information. But yeah, some of those big events, I'll pass.
I
don't see that. Honestly, I've probably seen more celebrities when you go to the right bathroom.
Honestly, the sad thing is I wish our panel was held earlier in the day, because one thing that we're infamous for doing is when our panel's over with is we would actually just go out in the lobby and hang out for like 30, 40 minutes chatting with people. So you could actually come outside of a panel and talk with the voice actors and writers and of some of your favorite shows, and even some actors occasionally. And that was really cool because any other place you see them, there's going to be a huge crowd around them, or they're going to be, behind security, or you're going to have to pay them $50, So
Yeah, yeah.
it's or more.
I know one particular Star Trek person who's really on about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
who about it? What way?
Like, won't sign autographs, can't take a picture with them unless you pay the $50.
Oh, who's that?
Yeah. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I was there. I'm old enough. I was there when like Angelina Jolie really kind of like was pretty. She is, if nothing else, she's also an incredible businesswoman. She grew up in Hollywood. She had her wild years, but also she's very smart.
Yep.
She sees how Hollywood is, and I think she also has a kind of a pretty good idea of how the audiences work too. So she was there to promote Tomb Raider, and she did a great job of it, because she saw that this was like the audience that would normally go out and see her movie. But also, like, I actually
she showed
got
up in
to,
costume,
like,
didn't she?
shake her hand because she was actually very approachable too at that time.
She showed up to that in costume, right?
Yeah, she came in. The Lara Croft costume also it isn't that hard to put together,
Yeah.
And so she came in there are rumors that said that she wanted to enter in by rappelling from the ceiling of Comic-Con into the main floor, and they go, nah. And she's like, I've got the people who could set it up. It's like, I'm sure you do, but nah, we're not going to do that.
That would have been a hell of an entrance.
I'm pretty sure that the fire marshal put the kibosh on that real fast. Like, nah.
I
I'm
would
pretty
have
sure we're not covered for this. If something, 1,001 chances if something should go wrong. Yeah, no. So they didn't do that. But yeah, before the celebrities that showed up to Comic-Con, a lot of them were very important, and a lot of them still are. But now that we have, like, when the Marvel, cast shows up, if you got within 100 feet of them, you were close.
Yep.
That's about it. I happened to get close to the Justice League characters just because I just happened to be walking down the aisle in the opposite direction that they were when they were doing like a signing or something like that over the DC booth. So that's like I did a head nod to Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot, or Gadot. It's actually Gadot. But and just because I kept it moving because I was literally walking in the opposite direction, that was it. But again, I think that is like probably my closest celebrity encounter next to Lee Cozy.
Just high five Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa hits me as the type of person.
For me, it goes from Gal Gadot then to Lee Cozy. So that's those are my celebrity interactions.
There's a big gap there. I'm thinking it would be really funny though, like Jason Momoa. I absolutely think that he is the type of person that if you walk past him and you just go high five, he would high five you.
Oh yeah, so I didn't get close to Jason Momoa because he stopped and he started signing autographs.
Yeah.
Like he was all for it. Like everybody else is like moving around, but he stopped in the middle of the aisle. I'm sure security just had a fit because everybody was like, "Oh, we just want to, shake hands." It's like, "Here," it's like, "Hey," he was like, I overheard him say, "You want me to sign that?" And he signed something, and now he has to sign things for 100 other people around him. Like he was just. I couldn't get close to him because he was now surrounded by a human shield 10 deep, and it's like, oh, okay, I actually have to turn off of this aisle because this aisle has a clot.
An artery's gonna burst.
So I did not get close enough to Jason Momoa as close as I got to Gal Gadot. Kevin P. West says, stalker fan is short for insane stalkers. Yeah, people do not understand that these celebrities are usually very cool, and fans also. And names, names. You want names? No, I'm not gonna give it. It's just you never know what gets back to what people. But
especially since I work with people who work on Star Trek, so which is why I want to know.
And so fans, people, they are, and some of the biggest fans are actors themselves.
Yep.
It's like they are big fans of other people's work. People want to work with Martin Scorsese. They're just flabbergasted when they get to Martin Scorsese wants to work with certain actors, And he's just like even like George Lucas, Stevens, all of these people have their have people that they would just love to work with as well. It's that kind of industry. It's like any industry, honestly, and so there are those wonderful opportunities. Usually, people in the industry are also big fans of other people in the industry, and that's what it is. Even here, like comic book artists, artists in general are huge fans of other artists.
I can confirm.
Yeah, exactly. And so to that point, most of the time they are fine. Unfortunately,
sometimes we're ugly.
Unfortunately, you can catch people on a bad day.
Yes.
I remember seeing one time, rest in peace, but Stanley was, kind of like harsh with the fan over at the hotel because I think, he just already, he was just on his way to his room and he just was kind of short with this person. It's like, and that happens. You can catch people on a bad day. You can get terrible fans who have no regard for personal space.
Yep.
And stuff. So you got to be cool with that and everything. And so I think that is the reason why that some of these celebrities are not nearly as accessible as they were, or is because we've had incidences and there is like liabilities and issues and people saying it's like, oh yeah, so and so's my boyfriend. And it's like, what? It's like I took one picture with you, kid. Or and it gets weird, and in the environment that we're in now, everything is like hypersensitive, and so I think that we do need to be much more respectful of people's personal space.
Oh,
and just because they are a celebrity doesn't necessarily mean we can touch them or should touch them.
I think it was funny when I was in Vegas one time. I went to go see. It's in my display case. I'll have to grab it at some point. I don't want to grab it because I got to go in the other room. But I've got a playing card basically. So there was a magic trick done by Penn and Teller, and when they finish it, Teller would launch the cards into the audience, and everybody if you get one of the cards, you get a souvenir. And one of my friends had tapped me on the shoulder, and so I turned and looked to him, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something fly, and I reached up and I went like this, and I caught one of the cards, kind of in my peripheral vision. And when I turned to look at what I got, I looked up on stage, and Teller's sitting there pointing at me, just like, "Holy shit, you caught that!" Like just the way I caught it. It was kind of very ninja move. And then he basically makes the whole sign it after the show thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. So we did the he gestures. And then, so after the show, what's up?
Mm-hmm. I was sneezing. Sorry. Go ahead.
And then after the show, I go and they're in the lobby, or in the hallway to the lobby, I should say, from their theater, and they're signing autographs for anybody. Like if you paid to see their show, they're standing there. They're like, we will shake your hand, we will sign something for you. Go ahead. And so I'm standing there with this card I just got that I want to get signed by them, and there are like 4 people behind me. They're like, and I'm big. I'm 6 foot, 6'1", broad shouldered. So I take up a lot of space, and so I've got these short people behind me shoving me, trying to get around me, trying to see if they can see Penn and Teller. And because they're doing this, I'm getting pushed, and they keep looking at me like, "Dude, calm down." And I'm like, it's like I'm just standing here, man. But yeah, I remember. I remember just kind of getting talked down to by Penn Jillette about lunging forward the way I was, like the first. I was like, it's not me, dude. It's the people behind me, and I apologize, but it felt really awkward and weird, and so I got their signatures, but I have not gone back to see the show after because I don't want to deal with their fans.
Chances are they don't remember that. I'm sure that's not the first time that's happened. But
I'm sure.
Exactly. It's one of those things. Soprosa says, getting shoved forward by people behind you sucks. Yeah, exactly.
Well, especially when you're the one getting blamed for it. They couldn't just tell everybody to calm down. They looked at me and they're like, "You, calm down." Yeah. I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah. Also, it's like for me, it takes you know me. I love talking and everything, but I have to totally gird my loins if I'm going to take a selfie with somebody, like, yeah, it's just, it's like I'm willing to. It's like, do you want to take a picture with so and so? It's like, nah, it's okay. Wouldn't want to inflict that on anybody.
Except if it's George Takei. George Takei.
If it's, oh yeah, no, I would totally take a picture with Jordan. Okay, I would be honored. So Pros goes, I have seen videos of concerts being stopped and the singer telling the entire crowd to take a step or two. Yeah, no, that happens, especially, I think that's like really, I was gonna say brave, but like, yeah, like I think that takes a lot of like responsibility to like, hey, you stop your show for a hot second. It's like, you all need to calm down. I know that there's a mosh pit. I'm very happy for you all, but like, you need to take a step back.
I forgot what concert it was, but I saw that where there was a concert. It was like a rock show or something. And it wasn't Foo Fighters, but it was somebody fairly large, and they did that. They stopped the show in the middle of the concert and basically were like, security, right there, that person's hurt, they need help. And then he's like, and that fucker in the white shirt's the one who did it.
Exactly.
And so he just called them out like right there on stage.
Pros goes, I don't know what the hell happened to concert etiquette. Some people are colossal morons at concerts now. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't want to sound like my dad, But yeah, I've said that too, and like every generation says that. So are we just becoming worse people? It's like everybody's like, yeah, no, the kids are so rude today, or like I wouldn't have said that to my parents and everything. And like, I certainly feel that way. As as the next generation comes up, and it's like, am I wrong?
I don't know, because I know, like I've yelled at my kid fairly recently
at
about.
The same time, I remember hearing that from my parents and their generation, and like I thought, oh, you're just being stuffy and blah blah blah. So I don't know if I've become more like them, or whatever I was doing became normalized, and whatever the next generation is coming, is going to do the same thing to me. What I think is rude will just become normalized later on.
I think a good chunk of it is just simply we learn, we adapt.
Yeah.
Because I was watching something. I was watching something about like how the human brain works, and one of the things they pointed out in particular is humans, boys in particular, but humans just in general are hardwired to make horrible decisions in their teenage years to 25 years. And the reason is because the way the brain is designed is it's designed to learn from its mistakes.
Yes.
And so you're basically hardwired to do stupid, idiotic things between the age of like 15 or 16 and 25. So we'll just say we'll say 15 and 25 and just make it a 10-year decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that one decade of your life is where you're supposed to learn survival instincts, survival skills and stuff like that. But that's that's the human brain doesn't stop, especially in males, doesn't stop developing until your mid-20s. Yeah. And so I thought that was very fascinating because I was like, that explains a lot.
Oh, it does, yeah. And unfortunately,
I did some really stupid things in my 20s.
We've really put the kibosh on Darwinianism, so all the stupid people are still getting by and growing up. I'm quite sure that I would have been, back if this was the caveman days, I would have been dead like in my 20s, and probably should have been. It would have been fine. I'd be okay with that. Nature will out. Good, but we would have been left with a much smarter race today. But I think that because of this, because we're not, people can get by being stupid and terrible behavior and all this other stuff, that we're not cleaning the gene pool with enough chlorine.
Yeah. The George Carlin bit. It's there's far too many helmets today.
Yeah. By the way, Lee, Alex Vixen peeks out her art supplies, but they don't want you to know that they're there.
Alex and your art supplies. Alex and Alex's art supplies. Welcome. Alex's art supplies. Please be gentle with Alex.
Kevin P. West is also, it's not just now, it's usually the drunk idiots at the shows that are the main problems. Why pay that much for a show and not be able to remember it? I will never understand. No, there are those people who were like, well, I paid a lot of, I'm going to have the best time that I ever had in my life. I don't care. And it's like, yeah, that's a little wrongheaded. That it's like we want you to have a good time, but your good time shouldn't impinge on other people's good time.
Yeah.
You know,
And I will
and
freely admit I went to a lot of punk shows. I managed a rock band, so
uh,
it's I very much enjoyed getting in those mosh pits where you come out at the end of the night and you're covered in somebody else's blood. I very much enjoyed that in my 20s. I loved going to those concerts and that enthusiasm and how much people got into the music. But the reason I was covered in other people's blood was because occasionally you did have the people who were dicks. And I thankfully was large enough that I could be the anti-dick. And so I would sit there and just wail like in the middle of these mosh pits. If somebody was being too abusive, I was basically the person they would be like, you wail on that person until they stop. I was big enough to do that, and as awkward as that is, it allowed other people like my wife to actually enjoy a concert without getting crushed at 5'1", by these guys in the mosh pits. But nowadays, we've talked in the past about the mosh pit that broke out for like all of 90 seconds at the Offspring concert I went to a few years back. Like that was pretty funny because I was looking forward to a giant 90-minute bloodbath, and it was like 90 seconds, and some guy's like, "We should stop. Someone might get hurt." I'm just like, "What? Really? That's the objective."
yeah.
Mosh. But yeah, it was funny.
Mandala was saying earlier, it's like I was at a show in Vegas this year and realized how much I enjoyed not having everyone in the audience raising their fucking phones to film it. Oh, and Illumipedia.
What?
I couldn't quite read it. It gives you a follow.
Thank you very much for that follow.
Thank you.
I'm painting. I don't have my window up right now. Sorry.
It's okay. ILMNO PO 69. I'm just going to put in this. Thank you.
What Fuji said.
Yeah, exactly. Well, is it an IL or two L's? LMNOP.
That's the problem.
69. LMNOP.
That's funny, actually. The sing-songy part of the alphabet.
yeah, no, totally.
Remember you do, A, B, C, L, M, N, O, P,
Right. Also, like, when you spell Mississippi, like, suddenly you're back in, like, the first grade because you're happy that you could spell it.
oh yeah, M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I.
S-I-S-I-P-P, yeah, exactly.
But you do, again, it becomes sing-songy.
LMNOP says, just call me Sophia or Sophie. Well, Sophia, thank you. We're glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Where are you from?
Hi,
what part
Sophie.
of the world are you sitting in?
Thank you for the follow.
Sopronos goes, if you go into a pit and start intentionally trying to hurt people, go after smaller people. Better hope you don't get your ass kicked by the people watching. It does 100% happen.
That was me. I was the watcher of the short people.
Yeah. Sophia says, I'm from Tennessee. Well, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. We're here, and when I say we, this is Lee Cozy. He's the artist. Wave your hand, Lee. And then I am Fuji. I am the voice from the ceiling. I am a friend and colleague of Lee's, and I read chat. Alex Dixon says, I once had to stop a young, inexperienced bouncer from running into a mosh pit to break up a fight. Quote, you go in there and you're fucked. Just wait for the idiots to be expelled. Yeah, and it's kind of natural. The pit will kind of like get rid of it,
It will push out the idiots.
All on its own.
They'll eventually get forced out. Because everybody will get tired of that person and they'll just keep pushing them away.
Right, exactly. And Mandala also here is a friend and stalwart colleague of the stream and a moderator. Mandala says, Fuji is the Metatron of this channel.
Metatron.
Thank you, Mandala. Sopranos, mosh pits are like self-contained organisms. Homeostasis will be achieved.
He's the master control unit of our Tronverse.
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which also I will be completely derailed and defeated by a very small bit of code.
Mostly when he has to stop to read it.
You give me the wrong if then statements and I will just shut down. So, this is almost an hour past when we normally do. Lee, how was your weekend?
Oh, you know,
4th of July weekend. So 4th of July, big holiday. You know, obviously the nation's birthday here in the United States, but also July 1st was Canada Day. I'm not sure if that's their birthday, but I know that July 1st is Canada Day.
Originally, we were gonna go up to Del Mar and watch the fireworks there, but nobody in the house was really feeling really well and up to it. And so we ended up just watching the neighbors fire off fireworks from their driveway.
No, my neighborhood started like I didn't.
We had a good fireworks display
too.
too.
I'm in a very residential area of San Diego, and people were shooting off fireworks like July 1st. You know, It's like, oh, all right, we're doing this. The entire neighborhood's going to burn down.
Yeah, so we just pretty much watched the neighbors. You know, our entire neighborhood pretty much would go out there and take turns.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we have a T, a T intersection.
Yeah.
So there's a large empty area of our neighborhood that's very safe. You know, it's 20, 30 feet of asphalt and concrete, and it's a very safe place to set off rockets. So they would set up an area, and it was when somebody saw that a group of the neighbors, like the 3 neighbors on the corners, had all gotten together to put fireworks up in that spot. Other people who were like a block away started bringing their fireworks over, and they all started just taking turns in this one spot setting off fireworks. Because it was the safest place to do it.
We used to do that in Utah, and looking back, it's like, yeah, we could have burned the place down a lot of times. You know, I keep on thinking like Uncle Gordon was there. Uncle Gordon was a cop. He's like, he should have stopped us instead of just bringing us more.
Look what I confiscated, kids.
Uncle Gordon. The likelihood of Uncle Gordon hearing this is low. So Uncle Gordon used to bring us like confiscated fireworks.
That's what I was thinking.
4th of July. It's like, here, these are illegal, so we're going to quote unquote destroy them here. It's like, all right. One of those damn things cracked the driveway over at our aunt's place.
Oh,
she
man.
was pissed.
I would be too.
Yeah. Rubutu goes, people should be going to the beaches to do fireworks. Yeah, well, yes and no. So we have, here in San Diego, we have SeaWorld, and that's how they float a barge out there to do fireworks. And for a while now, they've been saying, it's like, well, fireworks are still like heavy metals and gunpowder and all that stuff, and you're just kind of like raining it down into the ocean. It's like, yeah, where it's not going to ignite. It's like, yeah, but you're still pumping a bunch of like chemicals into the water that weren't there before. And then also, it's like being in water, you're that much more sensitive to sonic vibrations, and I think it might be like actually disruptive to, the wildlife and everything. And then, obviously we have like whales and stuff inside, SeaWorld. I'm sure that they're very sensitive to it. So, there's like all the things associated with that. But yeah, like another friend of mine, she's back east, and they had, fireworks being shot out over like one of the local lakes and stuff. They thought that was pretty cool. It's like, yeah, but now that I know that I'm not going to go fishing out of your lake.
Yeah, we have the big firework barges. I don't know if they did it this year, but in previous years, they had it's called the Big Bay Boom, and I love how they named it after the short circuit explosion.
Yeah.
But
I was there for that. That was wild.
So was I. My kid got thrown. He was. We were over. I'm trying to remember where it was. We were over not far from one of the piers, and my kid, there was like a fishing shack behind us, and they had they have the giant rocks along the bay in some areas. My kid was standing on the rocks towards the front where the water line was, and we were probably like 100 yards away from one of those barges when it exploded. We were pretty close. And when that barge exploded, the shockwave threw him back, and I jumped and caught him. And Maria, it was funny because Maria was actually chipping out. She's all like, okay, you jumped before the sound hit us. How did you know where the kid was going to go? And it's like, because I used to be in the Marine Corps, and I've seen grenades and explosives, and, I know that there's the bright flash, then the shockwave. So I basically moved in position so I could catch my kid. The moment that shockwave hit him, and he just launched into my arms. But yeah, it was it was pretty crazy because it threw him. I think he was. I'm trying to remember how old he was. I think he was like 9 or 10 years old. But yeah, it threw him up in the air, and it was a hell of a shockwave because it pushed me back too.
Yeah.
It
no,
was.
I wasn't
nuts.
that close, but where it's like I saw it from like Little Italy, and it's just like. And it's like, like windows were rattling, and I go, that was cool. And like everybody wandered around, it's like, waiting for it like that. Like that's a hell of an opener. And like nothing else happened. And I kind of figured it out like after 5 minutes, like, I think that's it. So I like got back on the trolley and went home.
Yep. And you were right. Yeah, because it was, I remember that because after that happened, people were just laying there, and they're kind of,
Yeah, people were kind of waiting for more to happen, but I kind of like think, and I was like, I kind of like worked it out in my head, and I think we're done here. I think something went wrong because there would be a 5-minute pause. So I kind of like, well, I'm just going to get on the trolley before anybody else gets on the trolley and, go home.
And that was funny because Maria's all like, what the hell was that? And I was like, it had to be a computer error. And she's like, how do you know it's a computer error? It's like because 5 barges exploded simultaneously in the exact same way.
Yeah.
So they were all computer linked.
For people don't know, and this has happened before in other cities, but San Diego, gosh, how long's it been? It's been like 10 years, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, my kid's 19 now, so.
Yeah, exactly. So, but big fireworks display, they do them out on barges, like, again, out in the bay. That's what, again, like what Lee was saying, it's called the Big Bay Boom. But they're supposed to go off in sequence. And, it's supposed to, like, last, 15, 20 minutes, maybe, whatever. And computer error, somebody, hit the self-destruct button or whatever. And so all of the fireworks went off all at the same time. And it looked like just one big explosion. There was not very many colors. It was kind of like whites. Like I remember again from Little Italy, it was like daylight for about 3 seconds. It was impressive.
Yep.
And then the show was over because again the thing. The cool thing is like the people who were put on the production, they owned up to it, and they gave San Diego a free pass for like next year. Like the whole idea is like, we won't charge you for next year's, terribly sorry, we apologize, on behalf of us. And even like the city was really cool about it. It's like, okay, and so they let them do the next year went off without a hitch. But yeah, there was a lot of joking about it.
Yeah, so it used to be called, I believe, the Big Bay Fireworks, and after that one explosion, they called it the news headlines were the Big Bay Boom.
Yeah.
And so that's
I remember one headline. I don't think it was the local paper. It was they call it. It might have been the LA Times. They called it the Big Bay Bust. Yeah, because it.
Well, the reason I was saying Big Bay Boom because they actually named it the Big Bay Boom. Like they registered the URL and everything. Here's actually the explosion.
Yeah.
So this is all the fireworks going off at once, and there was a massive shockwave.
You are watching.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. And then it's over.
Uh-oh, indeed. The reaction from the show.
Yeah, people got scared too. They thought like it really kind of like freaked people out.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I can find. Like over here, there's more.
100 years.
But yeah, you can see here how they've got multiple barges. So there's 5 barges usually in the bay, scattered throughout the bay and up and down the coast, and they're all synced to each other. So this video only caught 3 of them, but you can see how they're all exploding in sequence. It was the craziest thing to watch.
Yeah.
But
it was Lee. It was 10 years ago. 2012 was when that happened.
Yep.
Yeah, so just reading some of the details here. What was intended for a 17-minute display, all discharged at once.
Yep. Here you go.
From all 4 barges at the pier.
So here's one. So to give you an idea,
Diadem is here. It's like hi Aaron, Diadem, welcome.
Hey, Diadem.
Glad to have you here.
So what I'm going to say is,
I remember seeing this. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's funny is, so like how close this is. Imagine if that thing exploding. So you see where these people are was right there. That's how close we were.
Yeah, no, it is. It was crazy. Yeah. It honestly, I have to say, biggest explosion I've ever seen. And again, it was just like I said, it was. I was, again, 2 miles away, maybe 3, and it was daylight. It was that bright.
So 29 seconds, a half hour fireworks show in 29 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And it does say it's like
everybody cheering. Like,
remember this excuse, guys. Premature discharge was blamed on a corrupted computer file. So let your friends know that next time.
Next time she's a little early, are we? No. It's a corrupted computer file.
Corrupted computer file.
Absolutely. So, anyways, that was when that thing went off. There was an actual shockwave, and it threw my kid. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh, you can also read about it. It set off the seismometers and everything. Other places other than San Diego were reporting it as an earthquake.
San Diego had an earthquake, yeah.
And it's no. It's you need to put an asterisk in your report. That wasn't an earthquake.
Not that day.
That was a corrupted computer file.
That was an early burst.
It's what does that button do?
No.
Why is it big and red then? It's so you don't touch it. It's
Mandela.
It shouldn't be small and red and locked. Never hit the big red button. Yes, the premature celebration. Hey, it's some parties finish faster than others. Like I said, you get to go home earlier.
Let's see if this works. I don't know. Mandala set these things up. They were pretty funny though.
Yes.
There you go.
No. I like that one. That's a good one. Suppose premature ejection of fireworks. Yes, exactly.
Well, he also set up that meta one that I really like.
Oh, the Anakin one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, the Anakin one is brilliant. I love that.
I just got to remember what his command is for that eventually.
Right.
But I never type, so.
Yeah.
Because if I'm typing these, I'm not drawing.
Did you barbecue or did you do any other stereotypical?
We ordered pizza. Well, because originally we were planning on going to Del Mar, so we didn't have any barbecue, any food, or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And so so we didn't really have anything planned. We were just gonna go hang out, but I wasn't feeling so hot. Maria didn't really want to deal with the crowds. My kid is stereotypical antisocial. So an introvert, we'll say. And so, it was just kind of I got projects to do for Comic-Con, so we'll just stay in.
Yeah, I know.
All the money we would have spent on food at Del Mar, we'll just save and buy something cool at Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm. Normally, some of my friends will get together at a park over in Claremont that's pretty wide open to watch the fireworks. And it's some of them they can even walk to it, and it's nice over there. But I contacted them and asked them, are you going to go?
They're paraplegics.
Just not really feeling it, just with everything that's going on and everything. And so I think a lot of people just stayed home. Like I said, I drove not to the park, but I just got to a place where I could actually see the fireworks. That was cool.
It's I think it's gonna take a while because like my kid, kind of came of age during COVID, so I'm concerned about how long it's gonna take him to kind of go back to the normalcy of not being afraid of crowds.
Yeah,
You know,
No, I think I think that's a big deal.
because
But
it ruined his
I
high
mentioned this
school
to Lee
years and
before.
everything.
But
So
um, uh, some friends of mine, they contacted me and they said, "Hey, are you at Anime Expo?" Anime Expo is this big anime convention that's held in Los Angeles, and it's done over Fourth of July weekend. Like, that's their weekend. I don't know. We had Comic Con one time because of a scheduling snafu, and it was done over Fourth of July weekend, and it's terrible. It's a stupid idea. Never have your large convention during a holiday, especially the Fourth of July. And but that's what Anime Expo does. And again, it's like a bunch of people who probably care less about the Fourth of July. But anyway, there's like this still, it's a very crowded city.
yeah,
And so some friends of mine asked me like, "Oh, are you here at Anime Expo?" And I go, "No." Why would I do that? And so, "Oh, we were just curious if you were in town because so and so and so and so is here, and they're his cousin is visiting, and it's like we're gonna go get lunch later, so we just wanted to invite you." It's like, no, it's like I'm fine. It's like so, but they said it's like, well, if would you want to come up tomorrow and we can reschedule it for tomorrow? And I go, yeah,
no,
sure, I'll go up there. So I drove up to LA and I met some other friends in the afternoon, but whatever. But like, yeah, so we went and got Korean barbecue in K-Town. It's fantastic. It was delicious and everything. But like afterwards, and that was really the only thing. And I was going to go hang out with my friends for the afternoon and then head back down to San Diego. But they said, one of them said, it's like, yeah, did you want to go to Anime Expo? And it's like, and I go, kinda. It's like, here, if there's a pass, you can take my pass and you can go. And I go, oh, that's great. It's like, you're not going to go? And they go like, no, I think we're done. And they said it like that. It's like, oh.
now I'm somewhat fascinated.
So like it wasn't that far. So I just Ubered over there, and so I get there and I go, I see the problem here. So apparently this is like Anime Expo pre 2019 because like there's like this huge crowd. They're both inside and out. I didn't even go inside because like, oh no, this just looks like a mess. And like I had, on the Uber ride over there, like I had scrolling through some of the other news and just seeing what events. It's like, oh, maybe now I can go. Like, what's going on today? But like I saw some of the other feeds going on, how people were complaining that they're really not enforcing masks. They're not really checking for COVID, for vaccinations. The strap that you have on your wrist that says that you have been checked. Because there is such a crowd and they're trying to hustle everybody in and whatever, they're not really securing it, so it's like tight around your wrist. Some of them they're just handing to people and have it here, put this on, kind of a thing. So people are just just handing that wristband back to the friends, to their other friends, so that you can all get in.
Yep.
And like it definitely seemed, again, just for my, this is in my opinion. But it seemed like they were really just trying to like hustle people. We're trying to have like a huge crowd and like get everybody in here and show that we're back to normal. You're not back to normal. We will never go backwards. Unless you have a time machine, it's a completely different world.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of that. I'm told. I only stayed there like a couple hours, and again I was just on the outside. But I'm told that like. LA Fire Department like shut the place down and said, yes, you've let too many people in. Don't let anybody else in. In fact, get some of these people out of here. And so it was just like I don't know if this was done on purpose or if they didn't have the infrastructure, but it was a mess. I could see that even from the outside.
I don't do that show.
Also, I saw some person in costume literally pass out because, again, Lee knows it is hot as hell outside. Los Angeles, cities are ovens. I don't know, but it was just warm, and like I saw somebody like literally swoon and pass out. I thought it was. At first, I thought it was like just like a video moment or something like that. But
Yeah,
no,
somebody
the person,
doing a
like, hit the
TikTok.
ground. They hit the ground and their head made that kathunk noise. It's like, ooh, yeah, no, that person's gone. And their friends were there to pick them up, but that person hit the ground, and it's like, oh, okay, so.
Yeah, I don't do that show.
Too.
I don't do
Yeah.
that show anymore. I used
Yeah.
to. I had a falling out kind of with the people running it at one point. So because I usually get Pro Pass. So
Right.
and when we were buying booths, things like that, or we were doing contributing to their programming, they were happy to give us free passes and stuff. And
Right.
I remember, one year I went in and I tried to apply for a Pro Pass.
Right.
And I just remember, the person I was dealing with, they said, "What projects have you worked on?" And I was all like, "Robotech Voltron Speed Racer." And they looked at me and kind of, "You have to work on a real anime project." And I was like, "Excuse me?" Like, pretty much the three most iconic anime projects that brought all
Like,
anime to
yeah,
the
exactly.
U.S.
These are the projects that brought anime to
Like
America.
these are the basically it's like this is the Adam and Eve of anime
OG.
for America, and it's like,
Yeah.
fuck you. So I was just
Yeah.
like, and so Tommy calls me up and is like, "Hey, are you going to do Anime Expo?" And I was like, "Nope." It's like, they're idiots. I'm not dealing with them ever again.
Yeah, I didn't again. I didn't even get inside because I knew that like some of our friends, they had booths and things like set up and events, and it's like, nah.
It was piss poorly managed.
I'm not going to do it.
People were idiots.
I will see these same people at Comic-Con.
Yep.
And even then, it's like my WonderCon experience was good. My Comic Fest experience was good. Comic-Con is a different animal. It is a large dinosaur of an animal kind of a thing, and if I don't need to be there, God bless you, Lee, but I'm not going to hang around, if I don't need necessarily. If it's shoulder to shoulder, it's like, yeah, nah, it's okay. I will step away.
So Comic-Con is sold out.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if it's sold out max attendance though. So that means I don't know if they reduced the number of tickets they're selling, because that's what they did at WonderCon. Because at WonderCon they reduced. They
was
were
a wise choice.
Yeah, at WonderCon they only sold.
WonderCon was good.
They only
WonderCon
sold, I
was
think,
good.
like 30%, 50% of the number of tickets they normally do.
Right.
And they still listed it as sold out. So I don't know if they're
Which you can totally do that. I'm behind it. But yeah,
Well, no, it's
you
because
reduce the
they
number
didn't
of
want
tickets, you can still
people.
sign up.
Yeah, it's like they have a max attendance. So whether it's pre-COVID or post-COVID, it doesn't matter. The point is, it's max attendance. So
Yeah, exactly.
so Comic-Con has hit its max attendance. I don't know what that attendance will be. Is my point.
Yeah.
And
I gotta say, that's a good. I totally glossed over WonderCon. WonderCon, great experience.
Yeah.
Plenty of room to move around. It was good. I saw a lot of cool stuff. WonderCon is always good. I have to say, my WonderCon experience, really excited about that. Never had a bad WonderCon experience. And this one was good. It gave me hope. It was well organized. They checked for COVID. They had regular announcements about keeping your mask on. Everybody I know who came away from that, had a good experience there. Very few reports of people having, COVID after the fact. Apparently, there has been a firestorm of people reporting that they got COVID or tested positive after the Anime Expo show. Again, I feel comfortable that I wasn't exposed because I always stayed outside. I was by myself. I think I came within like 10 feet of people. That was about it. And then again, I saw it for what it was. It's like, well, I've got a belly full of of K barbecues, so I need to find a bathroom, and it's not going to be here.
So what I'm kind of digging is if you look at the booth layouts for San Diego Comic-Con. So obviously the green booth is mine, so that's where I'll be located.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You are here.
Yep, we got a very large booth for an artist, but and then Image is right next to us, so. But it's kind of so that if you want to figure out where I am, just look for the Image crowd, and I'll be the empty booth next to them.
Lee is Image adjacent.
But what's kind of interesting is so one thing they did at WonderCon, they're sort of doing here, but not entirely, which is these 20-foot aisles. So at WonderCon, every aisle was pretty much 20 feet. So they're not doing that at San Diego this year, but they have significantly increased the number of 20 feet aisles. They did not do it in the dealer area, so area where all the comic book dealers are, which I guess that's a low traffic area in general, anyways.
Maybe, sure.
Yeah,
could be.
But like over by Capcom, you'll notice it's a lot more open, and they've also opened up a lot of the space. Plus, this is also a giant open area. This is not a booth. That is a giant open area. That's far like where it says reserved. That means there's no booth assigned to it. So that's going to be a giant open area. So I don't know if they're going to expand the space between the booths, or if they're just holding that. But I think that was supposed to be DC's booth. Because DC's not in here anyways. Anywhere. I can't find Warner Brothers or DC anywhere. Because this is where Warner Brothers DC booth was last year. So.
Yeah. There I see over where 3329. Yeah, it was kind of like over there, and the Warner Brothers water tower and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it was way over here in the because it was behind me. My booth used to be.
Yeah. They had that kind of like back wall over there by like.
Funko.
Funko Pop. Yeah. So, and it was like this. It was like the whole thing. Yes. That's true. They did not have the DC Pavilion, but they had it just folded into. The Warner Brothers, water tower experience and everything, and they had like I remember they had props from the Dark Knight Rises. They had the Bat Pod there, and I noticed that there were some artists doing signings and stuff, and things like that. But yeah, they did not have the classic DC Pavilion, which they normally have.
I'm trying to figure out. If this is, like, where was that booth I saw? Right here, Supreme Comics. Is that Rob Liefeld?
I don't know. Let me look that up. If Supreme Comics is live. It certainly sounds like it should be. If it isn't, he needs to buy that one.
Yeah, it just says publisher. It doesn't really say it's, let's visit the company's website, I guess.
Yeah.
Click on it. Become a member. Oh, good God. Really? That's your... It's in Chicago, so I doubt it's Rob Liefeld. I'm pretty sure if it was Rob Liefeld, they would have a big ad. Like Rob Liefeld Supreme Comics, because Supreme Studios and all that stuff was Rob for the longest time.
Yeah, no, I think Supreme Comics must be like a retailer. It's nothing's coming up. As a publishing house right now.
This company's called Gaze in Space. Like it's actually phonetically spelled that way. That is awesome. Monkey Minion. Should probably click off this because I don't know if I'm going to run into anything inappropriate. But yeah, is there any company that you're looking for Comic-Con in particular? Anybody you're thinking of you'd like to visit? Let's see Robotech's. I don't think Robotech's on this floor. I think they're going to be on the mezzanine.
Well, Robotech, they have theirs usually on the mezzanine level.
What do you know? There's a mezzanine map, too. Where the hell did that come from? Oh, wait. Okay, I see. There's two things here. I did not see this before. So, yeah, there's Robotech right there. That'll be cool. And that means the 501st is probably Imperial Sands Garrison, 501st. Yep. So that's the group I'm with, that I'm inducted with. Will not be the convention floor, which I assume means they're not going to be on the exhibit. Yeah, they're not. I think they might have panels or something, but that's it. But if anybody wants to know, there's a much larger area that's empty up here than usual, but this is the concession area, so I think that makes sense. So this is a concession area. That's a concession area. So they've made much larger open areas for the concessions. They've made concessions for the concessions. And then I don't know what this was, but that's a big empty area too. So they've got several of these big open areas. But if you add in those, that's pretty much the size of the DC booth that used to be here. Because there were no booths, aisles in here. It was just one big, giant, continuous booth. But yeah, so that's San Diego Comic-Con, guys. And again, if you want to come and hang out, we're going to be right there. So that's where I'll be. I'll be there with the guys from DCD Collects as well. So, and then Oni Press right behind us. Cool. Sideshow Collectibles.
Okay, so it might be listed under Warner Brothers Discovery. That's where they're rolling all of their stuff in together.
No Warner Brothers listed.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Yep. Let me type in Discovery. I'll get Disco. I got Discount Comics. All Discount Comics.
No.
There's the Warner Brothers booth. It's now Discount Comics. Everything on sale. It's a clearance.
Oh, wow. How the mighty have fallen. It's like, wow, they really cut back.
Hot Topic has a booth? What the hell?
Oh, good. No, we can get more, sketchy, T-shirts stuff.
I tend to avoid, I've got such a love-hate relationship with Hot Topic. Because, I remember dealing with, God, what was the company? Who was it who was publishing? It wasn't Fantagraphics. Who was Fantagraphics the company publishing Johnny the Homicidal Maniac? Slave Labor. Slave Labor. It was Slave Labor Press. I had issues with Hot Topic because when we were doing Kindergoth, we got an order from them for 100,000 copies of Kindergoth, each issue, and we were just duh. And I remember we were and we asked for them to sign a letter of commitment before we went to press, and they kept dragging their feet on it. And it's all like, we're going to press in 2 weeks on the rest of the books. If we get yours in on there, there's a discount. We can get it in early. And they're like, well, yeah. And they were hemming and hawing. And we were debating whether or not to do it. And one of my friends who was at Slave Labor, he actually called me. And he's all like, hey, I heard that you guys were having issues with Hot Topic. And it's all like, yeah, we can't get a letter of commitment from the buyer. And he's like, then don't print the books. And I was like, are you sure? Because that's a lot of books. He's like, yeah, I'm positive, because that's a lot of books. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I talked to him about it. And basically, what ended up happening was with Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, they did the same thing. They ordered 100,000 copies or something stupid of each issue of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. They did not sign a letter of commitment for it, which basically means they promised they will buy every one of those books. And instead, what they did was they were taking the books in 1,500 increments. So it's like you would send them 1,500, they'd send 5 to each store or something like that, and you now had to pay to warehouse your books that they ordered, and they would just trickle in the orders. And they were like, yeah, so we ended up losing so much money on that because we had to warehouse all these books and we weren't expecting. So Slave Labor had to go buy a storage unit just for Johnny the Homicidal Maniac because of this. So yeah, that's kind of why I tend to have we talked before about bad business practices or predatory business practices, things that hurt small companies in particular, just in general. So that being one of them is why I tend to stray away. Keep in mind that was also before they were bought by is it GameStop or whatever. So who was it that bought them now? Is it GameStop or somebody bought Hot Topic? I can't remember who it was, but yeah.
I can't remember.
But
Madal says, Fuji, so are you or are you not going to be at the SCC? I will be there, but I will, and I will probably get down there every day, but I am limiting my
exposure,
how
expenditures?
often I need to be around it, depending upon how crowded it is. It's just, err on the side of caution. Mandala says, according to slashfilms.com, Warner Bros. Discovery and DC Comics will not be at the convention floor, which I assume means they aren't going to be on the exhibitor floor.
Yeah,
right.
They're not.
That's kind of what I've been reading here, too. They will be doing panels and stuff, but I don't think that they are going to have a presence on the floor. There's something like Jim Lee's going to give a talk, and they're going to show things.
How to draw with Jim Lee.
Their new line, but this is more like TV stuff. Because they have the DC Universe Expo thing that they do on their own, or they have done on their own. They did it online last year, so maybe that's what they plan to do again.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of funny. It's almost like I'm not sure how many people might remember this, but back in the day, there was always this big competition between Marvel and DC, especially at the Comic-Cons. And then one year, Marvel went bankrupt. This is before Iron Man.
They were not there.
Yeah. And it was really funny. So to go back, this is.
Although I got to tell you this real quick. I don't know if you knew this, Lee. Apparently, That year, though, everything was already paid for. They could have gone, and it wouldn't have affected their bankruptcy thing anyway. But they just like totally like shut down. You know, they turtled, and it's like, no, we until we figure this out, we're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but like apparently they had already paid everybody. They had all the materials. They had the staff. They had already like the money set aside for the staff that was going to be there. But because of their quote unquote bankruptcy. By the way, folks, when a corporation goes bankrupt, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have nothing left in the bank. It's just the next 6 months look bleak. But like because of that, they said, no, we're not shipping anything. We're not going to do anything. Thank you very much, Comic-Con, because they still had to pay Comic-Con because they like still technically rented that space.
Well, that's part of what I was going to tell you is so this is like Marvel Entertainment. That's their booth, so they would always have a booth like this size, and except they were in this area here, this midsection, not this back area. So it was basically DC was over here. I think there was Image between them, and then there was this big thing here for Marvel. When Marvel didn't show up for that convention, they actually called me. And
really?
my friends, Bloodfire Studios, we were this dinky little underground publisher here in San Diego, an independent publisher, and they said, "Hey, do you guys?" It's like, can you guys fill a large booth area? And we were like, "Yeah, how many booths?" And they're like, 6. And we're like, we'll make it happen. So because we're local, we were able to actually fit. So we've just made this ad hoc kind of booth that we went to Home Depot, bought a bunch of like pipes and wood, and we built a structure that looked like something out of Mad Max for our booth. But yeah, so there was one year I had a booth about this size, well, probably a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, not as big as this, but we basically took up like this whole area here. It was pretty funny, and and it was pretty much manned by 4 people. And then we had like a whole, like I was working for Playboy at the time, so we had a bunch of the girls come down, and we gave them like a whole chunk of the booth where they could sign. We then had to put the kibosh on that because a bunch of them brought stuff that wasn't all age appropriate. Thanks, ladies. So we had to, actually like separate them from the rest of the company. But yeah, it was just really funny that there was this one year we had this massive booth in this area versus most of Comic-Con, or versus basically we had a bunch of guys making comic books on a Xerox machine, and that was pre-Kindergarten. That was the year before Kindergarten came out. I can't imagine how awesome it would have been the year Kindergarten came out if we had that huge booth.
Oh, Mandala, to follow up what you were saying, Lee, as well, to follow up, this is from the Hollywood Reporter I just read about how they are not going to be there. Oh, I can't get the whole thing in there. I guess that's it.
Okay, the Sandman, Harley Quinn will be showcased. Will be showcased, okay.
Yet the company headed by blah, 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 it will have no presence on the convention floor.
Oh, you know what I bet that means is how much you want to bet that means that they have a presence in Gaslamp, or they rented out that parking lot across the street.
Maybe they did. Yeah, that makes sense.
I guarantee you there's going to be, because the way they're wording it, they're going to be there. They're going to be doing stuff. I bet they're not doing anything in the convention center. They're doing stuff outside.
Well, I remember also not way back when, but just a couple years ago, Xbox rented out like a bunch of the ballrooms over at the Hyatt Manchester.
Yep.
And there was like a huge Xbox thing going on. It was great actually. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Says
the Sony guy.
Did something like that. And
this is why you're having troubles with Sony.
I wish PlayStation did something like that. But I do also know that because some businesses, went out of business downtown, that there is space available to do things.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe they're taking advantage of that, and
empty buildings, empty parking lots.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one year. when Machete came out, Robert Rodriguez and that wasn't Lionsgate, whatever the distribution company was, they were trying to get a booth to promote Machete, and they couldn't because the convention had sold out. So what they did was they parked a taco truck, Machete's Tacos.
Yeah,
They parked it in the gas lamp
that
corner.
is true. I have been given free street tacos handed to me by Michelle Rodriguez.
Yep, cooked by Danny Trejo, and and the truck was driven by Robert Rodriguez. It was so funny.
Yes.
But yeah, it was. It's not uncommon in San Diego for the companies to find unique ways to still make their presence known, even if their presence isn't known.
One of the best ones I ever
presence
went to
felt.
was when Tron Legacy came out, and there used to be this open space. It's now an actual bar, but it used to be this vacant space in Gaslamp or just off of it. It used to be actually like a warehouse or something like that, and then the people who owned it was this family, and they had been given like lots of different offers to have people like buy it from them, but like I think that there was some kind of like
Is this bar basic?
legality to it. It was just like hard to sell. But meanwhile, people would like rent it out for weddings and like other events and stuff like that. So they would actually make money off of it. So I think they were pretty happy with that for a while. So yeah, they converted it into Flynn's Bar for Tron Legacy. And then you walk behind the curtain kind of thing into this to the bar scene where from the movie Tron. With all of its neon lights and
arcades,
Daft Punk, stand-ins for the DJs and everything. It was a lot of fun. It was great. But yeah, it's a legit bar now. Somebody, I guess, eventually did buy the space and everything. But I remember that place was like vacant for like 300 days out of the year, and then the other 65, that's like, oh yeah, no, someone's having a wedding here, or someone's having a party, or someone's during convention season or something like that. I think they had something there during Christmas one time. And
I'm surprised they don't do something with the haunted hotel.
That makes you enough money.
I'm surprised they don't do something with the haunted hotel during Comic-Con, because it's right there.
Yeah. Mandala was saying, I question the idea that putting your dollars in the outside venue only is a better use of money than getting a booth at the premier pop culture gathering in the world. They could have done both. I think that people, places, companies, corporations, Mandala, you know better than most what it is to work for a corporation. I think that they're a little gun shy. I think that they just don't want, heaven forbid, there's a huge COVID outbreak or something like that, DC, Warner Brothers, or what have you, AT&T, it's owned by AT&T now, can be held partially, responsible for, bringing a bunch of kids into a large convention and exposing them to COVID because of this, that, and the other.
They've got enough PR problems right now.
Yeah, they've got they have their own problems. So, if they were to do an outside venue, they have a lot more control over that kind of a thing. That's on them. If they don't show up at all, I can kind of see that. That way they aren't responsible for all that. We go in there, we present, and we get the hell out. If these people want to find out more, here's our QR code. They can find us online. Or sometimes what people do also is they do signings and other events at other booths. But whatever this Warner Brothers Discovery thing, again, I had only heard about it maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. This is actually the first time I was actually reading anything about him, just in that Hollywood Reporter article I just I clicked from. So this is interesting. I mean, just as a business guy and a media guy and a former producer and editor, this is interesting how they're going about doing it, because I still believe that
the children are our future.
Being there in person still means a lot, and that's what the conventions are. But obviously, we have some very serious health concerns now. Health both in just like illnesses and violence.
I like how you coughed when you said we're having health concerns.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. My coffee, huh? Um,
That was awesome. Good
yeah,
timing.
Anime Expo had overpacked houses, but yeah, I was Ruta, I don't know if you're here, but I was there on July 2nd, and I saw it from the outside, and I told it's like I had a pass, and it's like, nope, I'm not going in there because this is a mess.
And that show's notoriously been mismanaged for decades.
Yeah,
So
and then because that was the other thing with League, because like I've been to Anime Expo a couple times. It's okay. I mean, if you're a cosplayer, I'm not a cosplayer. I enjoy cosplay. I think that they're great, but I am not a cosplayer. It's like I get it. You know, you want to get there with your friends. You want to be there for the photo op. Another thing that Anime Expo does that is pretty cool is that they have these really cool like backdrops for you, which they think is really neat. It's like I remember doing that at J.C. Penney's with my family way back in the day.
well, what's funny is like I remember a couple years ago there was like I'm not sure if you remember it, but there was that whole issue with the pedo clown guy.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
there
No,
was a
that guy.
dude,
Yeah,
there
I
was
know
like
him.
some homeless dude who every Anime Expo would dress as a clown, stand outside
Uh-huh.
Anime Expo with a sign that said "Free Hugs," and he was,
Yeah.
and then they discovered later on he was a registered sex offender.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Um, but yeah, Rubutu Anime Expo was a mess. You can read about it better than I can explain it on the interweb. But yeah, it was kind of a hot mess. There's also been like a huge uh, spike in people reporting, COVID positive tests after being at Anime Expo. So
Yeah.
it's again, it went through this entire weekend. So the first through the fourth. So today's the fifth. If you were first exposed to it, like on July 1st, you should be showing positive now. I'm sure there will be a lot more positive reports in the week, as the week progresses. So, yeah, again, I feel that I was safe in that I only stayed outside. I never came within more than like 10 feet of somebody. Um, Although there was this one, just like, Bunny Aurelia from League of Legends. I'm here for it. That's an impressive costume. Hi, how you doing? um, Mandala was saying, Fuji, that COVID explanation doesn't hold water, though. The inside venue puts the onus on a third party, while the outside venue puts it squarely on themselves. Most people generally aren't going to blame the company inside for an outbreak. That's true. And then I'm almost certain that the inside venue reaches the most evangelists, while the outside venue is full of drunk people who probably won't watch these crappy shows. Mandala explains, yeah, Anime Expo is in Anaheim or LBC. IRC. Anime Expo is actually it's in Los Angeles. It's at the Staples Convention Center.
Yeah, it's at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Is it called Staples
Yeah.
Convention Center now?
Well, the Staples Center is right next door to it.
Yeah.
That's where they play basketball, and they're kind of adjoined. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
the LA Convention Center.
And the LA Convention Center is just those two wings and that kind of long walk out in the sun.
I hate.
I mean, there's an
that
underground
convention
tunnel,
center.
but the last thing you want to be is in a tunnel like shoulder to shoulder with 20,000 of your closest friends. And some of them in costume. So you go outside, and that has got to be the longest, hottest walk.
It's miserable.
I mean, it's maybe 2 blocks, but I have never had the sun beat down on me harder than that little walk between the two wings.
I hate that show.
Yeah.
I really do not like that convention center in general.
Yes.
When they had when WonderCon was held there one year, it was miserable.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
and it's for that reason. Now there was one show we did LA Comic Con once up there, and we've done it several times. But there was one year I really dug it because what they did was you had what Fuji's kind of describing is if these are 2 different exhibit halls. This is like your West exhibit hall, and then they have like the South exhibit hall or whatever. And there is a tunnel. Tunnel is a bad word. It's basically a bridge over the street and everything that connects the two, but it's enclosed. But they're like a half mile apart or a quarter mile apart. It's a long ass walk. I think it's a half mile to get from
Is it
one.
a half mile?
Yeah, to get from one.
I thought I thought it was like a lot shorter, and it just seemed like a mile, but maybe it is a half mile.
No, it's. I think from one end to the other.
You can see the other door. It's like it doesn't seem like it's that far, but about halfway in it, like you're figuring, like I felt like I was in the middle of a desert. And the other door's not getting any closer.
Well, you have to remember the convention center is actually, if I remember correctly, the convention center is actually like that. So you're
Yeah.
you walk halfway and then it bends. So
Yeah,
or it like
maybe that's it.
or it bends in a weird. But I remember like one building straightforward, one building crooked. But either it doesn't really matter. But point is, long ass walk, very very annoying. There are panels and
Yeah.
rooms along this corridor to walk through. But the problem, or not the problem, but the cool thing about this one convention we went to was at every convention I go to that has a lot of cosplayers at. All the vendors usually complain, and the reason is because the cosplayers would come by and somebody would say, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" And next thing you know, there's a giant photo shoot being held in front of your booth. And if the front of your booth is being blocked by a bunch of people taking pictures, that means nobody can get into your booth to buy stuff, which now means basically close up shop. And that annoys a lot of people who have paid thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to be at these events and have stuff ready for it, to have their booth being blocked by people who aren't doing the photo shoots in the lobby. They're doing them in the hallways or in the aisleways. And so this one Los Angeles Comic-Con was kind of cool because they had the West Side or whatever, the West Convention Center, was all comic books. And because it was under construction, they didn't have enough room for the entire convention to be in one exhibit hall. So they moved all the cosplay stuff to another exhibit hall. And when they did that, suddenly like everybody got more sales because the only people that were in the exhibit hall were the people who were buying. So your per capita people with money in their pocket was significantly higher that year because the people who are there for cosplayers, they're either going to buy from the cosplayers or they're there to take pictures of the cosplayers or they're there to just hang out with cosplayers or see the cosplayers. They're not really there for the comics. They're not there for the art. They're not there to talk to the artists. They're not there to talk to the writers. They want to see people in costumes. And so when they divided those two sections, that was the best Los Angeles Comic-Con I ever had. And then a year later, they merged it all together, and it was the worst. It was the worst convention I'd ever had. It was actually the first convention in like 15 years that I actually lost money at. Was when they merged everything back together.
Oh no! I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's why I haven't done an LA Comic-Con in forever.
Yeah, I've been to LA Comic-Con once, and I go, nah, I just as soon just like save it and go to San Diego Comic-Con. We are joined by BS.
I had much fun drawing you guys.
BS Small Art, thank you for joining us, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Say hello to everybody in the chat to Brian.
Hello.
Hello
there.
Hello there.
Glad to have you with us.
We've all got to work on our Obi-Wan impressions. Hello there.
Hello there. Yeah, exactly.
Hello there.
And BS Small Art, thank you so much. Has renewed his subscription. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
They've been subscribed for 71 months.
Oh lordy.
Yeah.
They're gonna soon. They can. At this rate, they'll be able to send their subscription off to college soon.
I was actually thinking the same thing. I'm like, I wasn't going to do the math, but I'm like, damn, my subscription can go to kindergarten now.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have to go. Then, do we have to go to the subscriptions graduation when it graduates from elementary school to middle school? Do we have to do that?
Yes.
It's like I didn't have a graduation and I'm fine.
Neither did I. My family moved around too much.
Went from elementary school to middle school and I was happy for the experience.
I never a pizza party and said congratulations, you didn't flunk.
Yeah, I
never had any graduation. I didn't have any graduation at all until I went to high school.
Yeah, no, that's the only graduation I had. Well, I had exactly a high school graduation. I do remember flying to go see my brother when he graduated university, and when we got there, he was like, we got there a couple days before, and it's like, fuck it, I don't want to go.
He's like, I don't want to go.
It's like I'm not getting awards or anything like that, and I just assume not have to sit there in the sun or whatever, And it's like let's go get lunch and we'll hang out, and then I'm going to meet up with my friends later after the graduations. And it's like, oh, okay, that's what you want to do.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, it's like if I don't have to, his whole attitude is like, I don't have to. It's like I'm not being awarded anything. I'm not. It's like my actual physical diploma will be mailed to me later. I don't need to actually stand up there, And,
I don't want to walk. I don't
I
care.
think also he said something about he didn't want to like shake the hand of whoever was supposed to. You're supposed to shake the hand of like he actually had a beef with that person in the administration or something.
Perfect.
And so it's like, yeah, he said that was literally his attitude. It's like, fuck it, I don't want to do it. I think my parents were a little disappointed, but also like my dad is like, yeah, okay, great, one less thing I have to do. I could eat.
I don't have to wake up early. I'm good with that.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the funny thing is that later on he would actually graduate from the same university just many years later with his PhD, and so that one we showed up for.
Yeah, that's a little bit more.
There was only like 30 people getting their degree that day, so that was good.
It's a lot less time in the sun.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was actually in a really nice grove area.
I like really nice grove areas.
Yes, but my brother, the overachiever there he is, his first doctorate he got from USC, and that one is really cool because when you graduate from USC, guess who shows up for graduation?
God?
Thanos.
No, Thanos is not going to. Why would Thanos go to film school?
Oh, Steven Spielberg.
He did really good in that movie.
Steven Spielberg.
About it, folks, chat. What is USC famous for other than being university's second choice and the alma mater of I think both Steven Spielberg and George Lucas? Is that correct?
That's what I was saying. Steven Spielberg shows up.
Yeah.
Who shows up?
The world famous USC marching band plays at your graduation. That was a sight to see. They come marching in and they play like a couple. It's great. And then I was told, my brother says like, yeah, actually this is like the junior varsity team. This is the junior varsity squad. It's like, oh really? Because like they're still really good. It's like, yeah, no, they have the main band is like traveling. They play at events. The USC marching band has played at other colleges' graduations.
That's pretty funny. Just rent out your band.
Yeah, but the USC marching band, it's world famous, and they've got something like 4 or 5 squads, and so they travel to all these different events. It's actually very prestigious if you get into the USC marching band.
It's a marching band in middle school.
Yeah. If you want to look up USC marching band, Don't Stop, Waiting for Tomorrow. It's like one of their best ones.
Sorry, I'm just thinking Don't Stop Believing, but
Yeah, I'm like, I got turned off. I'm like, I've heard that song so many times.
It's like, it's already in my head. Damn it.
No, now we cannot watch it.
Earworm, you fucker.
I can listen to, like, Hotel California every day for the rest of my life. But Sweet Child of Mine and Don't Stop Believing.
Sweet Child of Mine, really?
Yeah, I've heard that song so many times. I'm like, okay, please. I was never a big fan of that song in the first place. But
Oh, wait, you're thinking Sweet Caroline?
No, Sweet Child of Mine.
Seriously?
Child of
Okay.
Mine.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses. Huh?
Yep. I've never been a big fan of that song, and I've heard it so many times it's just gotten worse. I don't know, but just something about the song. It's just like, no.
Sounds like you get your heart broken during that song. Like that song was playing on the radio when your girlfriend broke up with you.
Possibly.
It's like, yeah, that's why it was. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. But,
gentlemen, I need to step away for just a moment. I'll be right back.
He's running away. Chain him to the
No,
mic.
no, Brian, thank God you're here. No.
So how was your 4th of July? Mine was non-eventful.
Exact same.
As in, we went to no events. Well, you live close to the ocean, though, right?
Yeah.
You get to watch any of the fireworks up there or hear them?
I could have. I kind of chose not to. Kind of took with everything that's been going on recently.
Yeah, we took this year off too.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm not really going to celebrate. I'm going to kind of mourn. More like it.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's a good way to kind of think of it.
Yeah. So I just kind of I sat around playing Minecraft and
See, now I want to go play
grinding out
Minecraft.
stuff and material in Minecraft and just relaxing. And something I missed last week. I got bitten by the creativity bug,
Ooh.
and I as soon as I got home, I started writing. I wrote like five pages for a story I came up that day with, and it's the prologue to the story. And this is 5 pages doesn't sound like much, but for someone who doesn't really write, that took a lot. It took 5 hours, about an hour a page.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, really, it got me inspired to actually do more and start actually writing.
Good. Yeah, I've noticed that's something I try to promote to people. Is a lot of people talk about burnout or artist block or writer's block and stuff like that, and I never really get it. And the reason is because like I've said before, if I don't have a project to work on or I don't have an assignment, I'll usually just work on anything, something, fundamentals, whatever. But the kind of the trick is when you sit down and you start creating stuff, creativity feeds creativity.
Yeah.
So if you're, constantly doing, creative stuff, your brain is always in that mode. If you're sitting there waiting for inspiration to hit or just looking at stuff, trying to find inspiration and things like that, it's a lot harder to get inspiration. It can happen. And by the way, looking at something is suddenly going, ooh, I got a great idea. When I'm drawing and trying to do like world building or I'm doing my own projects, believe it or not, my most inspirational things is late at night as I'm going to bed, I pull out a Kindle and I read.
Yep.
And, I'll just sit there and read a book as I'm falling asleep. And the worst thing is sometimes I'll get ideas and I have, notes. Like I carry my phone actually has a whole folder that's just story note ideas. Plus I have sketchbooks with just piles of ideas for various projects and things. So I have an entire drawer here that's just full of notebooks.
Yeah, I've gotten several ideas. So there's a book I'm reading right now. I've gotten several ideas for drawings from the book that aren't exactly scenes from the book, but there's like, oh, that's a cool idea. I want to draw something like that. That scene.
Here's a picture I drew so fucking long ago. But yeah, it's literally like I got binders down here of sketchbooks and ideas and notes on stories and things and just weird doodles and whatnot, all related. That one's actually got story ideas on the back, which is why I flipped it to suddenly discover a weird old drawing I did. But that was back when I was heavily influenced by Todd McFarlane. But yeah, it's almost like when you're running, it's easier to run. Or it's easier to run long distances by just continuously running. Like, don't stop running. Don't stop moving. So those guys, you ever watch the guys jogging on the weekends or whatever, and you pull up to a stoplight, and the light's red, so they sit there and run in place. They're keeping their momentum going. They're keeping their movement going. Even though they're not physically moving forward, they're keeping their body in motion. So that when the light turns green, they can start moving. You watch the guys who stop, and they sit there, and then suddenly they start moving. They're very sluggish. It's when you get stopped from that momentum. That's why I get so pissed when I get interrupted when I'm working. That's why I work late at night, by the way. Sometimes I'll be working at like 2, 3 in the morning. That's exactly why I do that, is because I'm not going to be interrupted. I can just sit here and work nonstop and get so much work done because I'm not having to stop and answer questions or stop and order a pizza or hey, can you do this, or hey, go over the grocery list, or hey, can you go water the garden or something. It's like, do I need to prune this? What's this spot on the banana peppers? all things that came up this weekend. But if you're working at 2 a.m. when everybody else is asleep, it's like running. You just don't stop running. I just kept running. Sorry.
No, it's fine. And it's good. It's funny though, kind of, for me, it's kind of the opposite where I need to have projects put on me to be creative, to maximize my creativity. I need to have pressure. I need to have deadlines. When I'm the most creative is usually when I'm taking an art class and they give me a deadline. Like, okay, you have, so long to paint a painting or do a drawing on this type of subject. That's when I get the best. If I have a prompt.
That's not inspiration. That's panic.
I work well under panic. Sep says some of the Minecraft mods are absolutely insane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's one I've actually been watching. I haven't played, but I've been watching called Vault Hunters, and it's basically, it doesn't start until after you beat the dragon, the end dragon, and then you can build a portal, and you get these crystals, and that require supplies to make. And then you open up a vault and you go in, and the monsters are tougher, and they have modifiers on the vaults that you go into. So you might have one that's called personal space, where monsters don't spawn around you, only at spawners. Or you may have crowded, where monsters are constantly spawning right next to you, and you have so long, like 20 minutes, to get through the vault and either collect all the either beat the boss, which you can do by hitting pillar monoliths are scattered throughout the vault, or you run back out. And if you're not out before the 20 minutes, you die and lose everything.
Awesome.
And then
That is a really, I would say that's very stringent policy for a circus.
Hit enough on the clouds, bam. No,
as soon as the movie ends, like the radiation pours in, that's like we're very into sanitizing this room.
I'm pretty sure that's what movie theaters want to do after Marvel has made it popular to wait till the end of the movie to see the clip.
Yeah.
No, but it's a fun mod, and you use points that you gather throughout doing the vaults to unlock various mods. So you don't have the mods just open to you right away. You have to unlock them. And some mods will make it more expensive to unlock other mods, and some will actually make it cheaper.
See, I'm horrible. I like just building worlds in Minecraft.
Yeah. That's what I did. I went with a pack called TMP, where I'm building a base. I found this giant pillar rising out of a little bay, and so I'm building my base inside the pillar, this giant pillar, and having wraparound windows, and building a kitchen because it has kitchen mods and stuff like that, and having a fun time just building this base.
My kid and I started we started a new world. So remember that old crazy world we had?
Yeah.
I finally got tired of spending 2 hours on the train. Basically, we'd make these minecart trains. I got tired of spending 2 hours on the train to get away from an area we've already explored to find new stuff in the expansions. So we finally were like, fuck it. So we created a new world. And we've been very meticulous not to wander too far this time. So we literally, when we spawned, we went and we looked up the seed online. And then we went through the map on the seed and tried to figure out where would be the best place within a reasonable distance to build our base. And so we found an area where there were like 4 or 5 villages. And we moved into one of the villages. And we're in the process now of essentially demolishing the village methodically and building another village. And but what it is we'll literally, like, while the villagers are asleep or while they're gone for the day, we will tear down their house and build up a new house in its place without moving the bed. Or their profession block
Dark
or something.
City?
Yeah. So, the Dark City would be we would leave the bed, but we'd break the profession block. That would be Dark City.
Sopranos was saying you co-op the village.
Pretty much.
Good strategy. And then Sopranos was also saying earlier, it says, check out Fabric, Fabric. It is a mod suite that improves performance an insane amount. There are a ton of cool building mods too, Lee. Lots of block variations. Server I'm playing on now has actual slanted blocks instead of stairs. Oh. That would be save a lot of time. So it's a ramp.
You just slide down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually like
Oh,
the
it's
one
just some fool trying to ice skate uphill.
Yeah, no, the one I'm playing has ramps too, but they're for roofs. So you have different, you can, instead of having to use stairs to do the roof, you actually just can put a slanted block up.
Cool. Yeah, I like. I've been having fun with this world, building it. I've just been so stressed out lately with all the work I've been doing. I'm half tempted, and maybe I'll do it tonight. I don't know, but I'm just half tempted to go play a little bit because I've wanted to play for months, and I haven't been able to.
It's important to decompress.
And I've had zero decompression since Star
By the
Wars
way,
Celebration.
your Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch turned out great. I'm loving what you're doing there.
Thank you. So I'm doing what I'll do is this is kind of the underpainting kind of aspect of it. Is
The underpainting.
I want to do more, but if I don't have time, I can sort of almost leave something not quite this level, but I'll do a little bit more. But I can go in and add in some of the contrast and stuff, and I can pretty much call a piece like that done once I added the contrast. A good example is actually this one. That's really just the underpainting, and then I just hit it with pencils and white because I just liked it so much. It seemed pointless to do more. So.
Right. No, it looks really good, and I think also it's somewhat appropriate.
Yeah. And then using those color schemes and stuff as well. So. But I'm going to use the restroom really fast while you guys continue chatting about how nobody did anything this weekend.
No, you did. Well, you did. You stayed home and you saw your neighbors shooting out fireworks. And actually, Sophia earlier was saying the same thing, that she had her neighbors still firing off fireworks till 5 o'clock this morning. Brian, I missed your piece, but you said that you didn't do much either.
No, I just stayed home. I literally played Minecraft and read. I found a new book series that is interesting, and it's extreme. I don't know if it's extremely long. It's not long. It doesn't have a lot of pages in it, but for some reason, it's just taking me longer than normal to read through it. And but I'm enjoying it. Anxious because all the book series I have like 5. I actually have like 6, 7 book series I'm following. All of them have books coming out in August, and I'm like excited, but at the same time, I'm getting nothing done in the month of August.
That's interesting because I decided to actually pick up a book a couple months ago too. So I've been reading back. There's a couple of things just because I keep on switching out, and I actually own these books, so it's easy. But rereading The Hobbits, that I do kind of on a yearly basis. Not maybe the whole Lord of the Rings series like some people, but I like to reread The Hobbit every year. And then currently going through Macbeth, just my Shakespearean tragedies. And then a new book I picked up is called Lab Girl, which is semi-autobiographical about this one scientist and her career in research and studying it, getting a PhD, sexism, the racism, all the isms, working for a lab, starting her own lab, having that lab fail, going back working for a bigger lab, getting enough money from the bigger lab to restart her old lab. It's pretty cool. So it's been interesting. It's been interesting so far. So I highly recommend it.
That sounds interesting.
By the way,
just Lab Girl. I'm just reading from the description. Lab Girl is a 2016 memoir by American geochemist, geobiologist, and professor Hope Jaron, published by Alfred Knopf. Is the recipient of National Book Circle Award for Autobiography, New York Times Notable Book Award winner, American Association for the Advancement of Science Prize of Excellence in Sciences and Books.
So, by the way, so these are for the grab bags we're doing. So, I know I sold. There's a couple
of grab bags.
Yeah. So a couple of people who have been longtime viewers have actually bought these, and I'm going to ship them to them, or they've reserved them anyways. Those are the only people I'm really going to do that with because these were intended for San Diego Comic-Con. So, because we want to have a reason for people to come visit us. So, but here's the kicker. So it's going to be like we showed before. Did the cover recreations that are 1-to-1 comic scale. So they're the same size as a comic book. And so I think it was like 13 or 15 of those, and then we're gonna every card or every grab bag will also have a original piece of art in the form of a sketch card. 15 of them will have those, and then some of the other books we're introducing are also going to be in some of those things. So here is actually a Doctor Strange #7, and what's cool about this is I'm not sure how well you can see it on camera with the glare and whatnot. There are no color breaks. Like the corners are very sharp and stuff. So a lot of these are in really good condition.
Lee,
I left
you,
my bladder error.
you have the error, the cozy art error covering the screen.
I got it.
There you go. Now we can see.
But yeah, so these are old Doctor Strange. I actually got the original Doctor Strange was actually Strange Tales. So, but yeah, so I just grabbed a couple of them. But so some of the grab bags will actually have Gold and Silver Age comics in them. Some of them have Bronze Age. But yeah, so there's this is the grab bags we're putting together. These are some of the materials going in them. So some of them. There's also a bunch of Conans. Like we got some old Silver Age Conans, Golden Age, Silver and Bronze Age Conans going in there. It's gonna be fun.
Sedwords has checked in. Thank you very much for joining us, Steve. Glad to have you here.
Welcome, Steve.
Sedward asks, are these Ditko Strange books?
Some they could be. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't open.
Looking forward to Comic-Con. We were just discussing how I had a near miss at Anime Expo up in LA. I almost went in and then thought better of it, and then I'm glad I dodged that bullet. We're also just covering 4th of July weekend plan. What we did or what we didn't do. These wonderful additions to Lee's grab bag, and then we're going to be talking about Miss Marvel and Thor comes out this weekend, and all that good stuff. We had a unplanned. We talked about Star Trek for about an hour and a half.
Well, yeah.
We could always do that.
Star Trek's fun.
I mean, it's really nice to see that Star Trek kind of had its glow up. It was dead there for a while. I mean, Star Trek the motion picture, kind of a snooze and everything. Thank God for the Wrath of Khan. I mean, this is like I think also the anniversary. Is it the fourth? It might be the 40th. Yeah, think about it, folks. The 40th anniversary of Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, and arguably the movie that saved the Star Wars franchise.
I haven't found a Ditko, but I have found some Gene Colons in here.
Did I say
far.
Star Wars? I meant Star Trek. I think I said Star Wars there for a second, folks. But Star Trek.
Yeah, more Gene Colan. Lots of Gene Colan artwork.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through the ones I was showing to see if any of them are...
Yeah, Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan came out in 1982, folks.
Oi.
Yeah. And feel it in your bones.
That still offers memes to this day.
Mm-hmm. Theatrical